Education Way. Understanding figurative language.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's lesson. Imagine words that can paint pictures in your mind or make you feel something special. This is what figurative language does. It's a fun and creative way of using words, and by the end of the day, you'll know how to recognize and use it yourself. We focus on three simple types of figurative language, which is similes, metaphors, and
hyperbole.
so don't worry, they are not as tricky as they sound. So let's get started. What is figurative language? So figurative language is when we use words in a creative way to explain something. We don't mean exactly what the word says, but we are just being imaginative. For example, instead of saying the stars are bright tonight, we might say the stars are sparkling diamond in the sky. You see the difference? It makes the sentence more colorful and exciting. Okay, so first, let's talk about similes. A simile compares two things using the word like or as. Here's an example. She is as brave as a lion, and that doesn't really mean that she's actually a lion. So it's just a way to show how brave she is. Another one, he swims like a fish, and that means that he's a really good swimmer. So now, let's try it together. Can you think of a simile to describe something you love? Maybe the cake is as sweet as honey, or I feel as light as a feather. Take a moment to think of your own. Okay, so next up, we have metaphors. A metaphor is like a simile, but it's even simpler. Instead of saying something is like something else, we say it is that thing. For example, the classroom is a zoo. So do we really mean there are an animal running around? No, we're just saying it's very noisy and wild, just like a zoo. Here's another one. A smile is the sun. This doesn't mean her smile is literally the sun, but it shows how warm and bright it makes people feel. So can you think of a metaphor for your best friend? And now, let's talk about
Hyperbole.
these are big exaggeration. We use
Hyperbole.
to make something sounds more exciting or dramatic than it really is. For example, I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse. Do you really mean you'd eat a horse? Of course not. It just shows how very hungry you are. So here's another one. I've told you a million times to clean your room. So did you actually say it a million times? Probably not, right? It's just a fun way to show frustration. Okay class, today we've learned about similes, metaphors, and
Hyperbole.
there are all ways to use figurative language to make your word come alive. Figurative language make writing and speaking much more interesting. Instead of plain sentences, you can make your words exciting, funny, or emotional. It helps people imagine what you are saying. Try using similes, metaphors, or hyperboles the next time you tell a story, and I promise it will make your story more fun to listen to. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Diana. So, I will briefly explain about the lesson plan. So, for the activity is scavenger hunt for activity plan. The objective of this activity is students will identify and to create examples of various types of figurative languages, enhancing their understanding and also appreciation of literary techniques. So, materials needed for each student is their own favorite books, their own anything, poem, or access to online materials. paper, pens, pencils, and also they could also use optional a list of figurative languages that they know, or stimulus, metaphor, personification, alliteration, and all that. So for the activity steps, students need to briefly explain about what is figurative language is and why is it important in writing. Besides that, students also need to provide a list of figurative languages as a type for their own reference. And then they need to search and create for like the duration, probably like 8 minutes to 10 minutes. So for option number 1, students need to search their own favorite poems, and they need to find examples of each figurative languages that they found in the books. So option number 2, students need to create their own examples based on the prompts. Like for example, personification, describe a storm. So they will need to describe a storm. And then for the metaphor, friendship to a garden, something like that. And they need to encourage students to find or create to and find at least one example to like for each type listed. They need to pair a group, like students need to pair 2 people or in a group of 3 people, and then students need to share their own examples, and they have to discuss of their own examples. Finally, for the class discussion, each students need to discuss what they found. Each students need to share their own examples. They need to discuss how these examples may enhance their own writing and evoke their own interest in writing. For example, students need to ask questions like, what's the use of figurative languages, the way perceive the description, or something like in order one type of figurative languages over another, something like that. In conclusion, this activity not only fosters collaboration but also deepens understanding through discussion with other students as well.
Alright class, now that we have learned about figurative language and explored different types like similes, metaphor, personification, and hyperbole, it's time for a fun activity to test what we have learned. We're going to use Kahoot, an interactive quiz game, as our assessment tool today. Don't worry, it's going to be fun and engaging. You will answer some multiple choices questions based on what we have covered so far. Here's how it works. You will see a question and a few answer options on your screen. Your task is to read the question carefully and choose the correct answer. For example, if you see the sentence, "The wind whispered through the trees," you will need to identify which type of figurative language it is: personifications, simile, metaphor, or hyperbole. The quiz will give you a limited time for each question, so think quickly and choose the best answer. Remember, this is just to see how well you understand the figurative language. It's not about being perfect, so give it your best shot. At the end, you will see your scores and we will discuss any tricky questions together. Are you ready? Let's start the quiz. Grab your device and join the Kahoot game using the code I will share with you. Great job on the quiz, everyone! I hope you were able to recognize different types of figurative language. For homework, I want you to create one sentence for each type of figurative language we have learned. For example, a simile could be "He ran as fast as lightning." Write them down and be ready to share. Lastly, think about how figurative language makes reading and writing more exciting. Which type of figurative language do you like using the most? Similes? Metaphor? Reflect on it and let's discuss in the next class. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi students, my name is Alif. You can call me Sir Alif. So we've been on an incredible journey through the world of figurative language, and wow, what a ride it's been. Just today, we're not just talking about just random words you put in sentences and stuff. We're talking about how words can transform the way we see the world, right? So without ending this lesson, let's just take a quick recap from what we have learned. Just figurative language is more than just a linguistic trick. It's a superpower of communication. It really enhances the way you see the world and how you express your feelings and your emotions. Like when you use a metaphor, a simile or personification, you're not just describing something, it's how you create an experience. So like imagine saying I'm tired versus I'm a wilted flower at the end of a long summer day. Which one makes you feel something? Which one paints a picture in your mind? That's the magic of figurative language. So not only that, in terms of like writing and like speaking, it really enhances and it is really engaging. When you are doing and when you converse in communication, people would be like, wow, that is very, very interesting. That is very, very beautiful in terms of like how you say them and how you express your words to people. So like figurative language, it happens everywhere. In the songs that make you cry, and the advertisement that catch your eyes, and the books that transport you to another world. It's how we connect. It's how we express emotions that simple words can't. When a poet describes love as a burning flame, or a songwriter says life is a highway, they're doing more than just using random words putting into one. They're creating emotions, building worlds, bridging human experiences, makes everything more clear and makes everything more colorful. Again, without ending our lesson for today, let's just do a quick challenge to improve your writing or the way you speak to people. Let's just use some figurative languages in your daily life or maybe your exam. You could also challenge some of your friends to do the same. How about if you trying to create a short story, just put in a little figurative language in there, metaphor or simile. It could really help you a lot. So yeah, before you actually leave the lesson, I want you to drop some feedback for our lessons, and that could be really helpful for us. Thank you very much.
That is all for our lesson today. Thank you, children. You may dismiss.